Characteristics of organisms. Learning objectives. Characteristics of living things. Different needs of living things. In an aquarium, what do we see? A fish or a rock? There are many things that go on inside a fish that make it move, grow and behave the way it does. The rock does nothing but stays there. The rock can stay there for thousands of years, with or without the water, but the fish will not be able to do so. It will die at some point. Fish in aquarium. What is the difference between the fish and the rock? The fish is a living organism but the rock is not. There are few characteristics of life that the fish has, which the rock does not have. These characteristics are not for a fish alone. These are the same for all living things, plants and animals. They also include very tiny organisms that our naked eyes cannot see. Rock. Characteristics of living things. Now, we shall take a closer look at each of the characteristics. Need food. All living organisms need food to grow, survive and stay healthy. Living organisms need energy to function. Energy is needed to grow, reproduce, move, and to work. Think, what will happen if you have to stay without food for 3 days? Food comes in many different forms. Plants use sugars, fats and proteins to grow and stay healthy. They produce these themselves with the help of sunlight, water and carbon dioxide. The nutrients produced are stored in the plants and the nutrients are passed on to other living organisms that eat these plants. Plants make their own food. When living organisms die and rot in the ground, the nutrients in them end up in the soil and get dissolved in it. As a result, plants' roots are able to absorb nutrients such as salts, potassium, minerals, starch, phosphates and nitric acids from soil too. Plants make their own food. A goat grazing. Reproduction. Reproduction is one of the characteristics of living things. All organisms grow and after a definite period of life, they die. Before death, the plants and animals try to continue their species. The organisms produce the individuals like themselves. The process by which the species is continued is called reproduction. By reproduction, young ones replace the old and dying ones. These young ones feed, grow and reproduce again. Reproduction also helps in increasing the population of the species. Reproduction acts as a vehicle of organic evolution by transmitting advantageous variations to the offspring. Some plants reproduce through seeds while some through their stem cuttings. Mammals, like humans, cows, deer, elephants, sheep and lions give birth to young ones. Birds, insects and fish lay eggs from which babies hatch out. Bird reproduction. Elephants with their offsprings. Bird laying eggs and babies hatching out. Plants growing through their stem cutting like rows. Growth and development. Think of a newly born baby. It has all the features of a fully grown adult, but they are very tiny. As the years go by, they become big and become a young person like you, and later on, into a fully grown adult, maintaining all the features that they are born with. This is called growth. Growing stage of humans. In some organisms, growing involves drastic transformation. Take an example of butterfly. It starts off as a cell, egg, and it transforms into a caterpillar, then into a pupa, chrysalis, and then pops out as a beautiful butterfly. Plants often start from a tiny seed and grow into a big tree. One thing common in all organisms is that they grow or develop to look just like their parent species, even though there may be some slight variations resulting from the mixing of cells by the parents. Cell growth and development include its repair. As cells grow old, they wear off. Sometimes they suffer injury and bruises, but they are able to repair themselves by growing new cells in a process called mitosis. Cycle of plant or growing stage of plants. As living organisms grow, they undergo a process called aging. As they get close to the end of their lifespan, their ability to carry out life functions reduce. Eventually, they die to end the process of life. Life cycle of a turtle. Life cycle of a human. Movement. All living organisms show movement of one kind or another. All living organisms have internal movement, which means that they have the ability of moving substances from one part of their body to another. Some living organisms show external movement as well. They can move from place to place by walking, flying or swimming. Kids walking. Bird flying. Respiration. Respiration is a chemical reaction that happens within cells to release energy from food. All living organisms have some form of respiration. This is the release of energy from the organism after food and nutrition has been broken down, and their cells release energy in order to grow, adapt or even reproduce. Respiration is something we all know about, as it is a visible and regular process, one which we experience with every breath. Exhalation and inhalation are the two stages of respiration. Our body is in need of oxygen for survival, which is available in the atmospheric air. During inhalation, we breathe in the oxygen and exhale out carbon dioxide during exhalation. All mammals and most living organisms require oxygen for common biological processes. They continually breathe in air to sustain life. The amount of air that is needed and the amount of air that can be taken in depends on the size and structure of an organism. Most mammals that live in water can hold their breath many times longer than a human. Different ways of breathing. Sensitivity and response. Sensitivity is the ability to detect or sense change in the stimuli and to make response. Living organisms react to change around them. We react to touch, light, heat, cold and sound, as do other living organisms. Roots grow downwards in response to gravity. Shoots grow toward light. Both plants and animals use their sense of touch when climbing. Predators use sound and smell to hunt for prey. Stimulus plus response. Excrete. All living organisms create waste products via the processes of living. Much waste comes from food. The rest is produced by movement, growth, and other functions of livings. If this waste remained in living things, it would soon cause illness and death. Thus, living things must have a way to dispose of waste matter. The process that removes waste products from the body is called excretion. A dog excreting. Interaction. A living organism will interact with another living organism, whether it is the same type of organism, a threat or a neutral organism. There is some form of interaction between the two. For example, flowers interact with bees by releasing pollen into their male stamen for the pollen to be picked up and dispersed among female plants for reproduction. Plants like the Venus flytrap will interact by enclosing itself over flies, lizards and other edible insects when they land on the interior of its petals. Venus flytrap. Die. Living organisms have a cycle of life. They are born, they grow up, become old and die. The period of time that a living thing is expected to live is called its lifespan. Life cycle of a bird. Different needs of living things. All living things have certain basic needs. The most essential need of living things is water. Without this vital resource, life could not. Water. Water is needed for many chemical reactions that take place in cells. It also helps to transport nutrients and eliminate waste matter. Nutrients. All organisms need nutrients for energy, growth, and repair. Every organism has its own way of getting nutrients. Some organisms, such as animals and protozoa, get nutrients from swallowing food. Plants and algae make their own food through the process of photosynthesis. Fungi get nutrients by breaking down and absorbing decaying organic materials. Air and light. Air and light also are vital needs for some organisms. Air is a fundamental need of most living things, though some types of microorganisms cannot tolerate oxygen. Plants and other organisms that undergo photosynthesis, light is an essential requirement for their life. Sci facts. A cheetah can run 76 kilometers per hour. That's really fast. The fastest human being runs only about 30 kilometers per hour. Space. Space is another important basic need. Organisms such as plants and fungi that are grounded need a fixed space in which to grow and flourish. Animals and other organisms that can move need living space as well as area for searching their food and mates. Elephant drinking water. A frog swallowing insect. A kid taking in air. A rabbit in hollow. Summary. There are a few characteristics of life that the fish has, while the rock does not have. All living things need food to grow, survive and stay healthy. All organisms grow and after a definite period of life, they die. In some organisms, growing involves drastic transformation. All living organisms show movement of one kind or another. Exhalation and inhalation are the two stages of respiration. Living organisms react to change around them. All living organisms create waste products via the processes of living. A living organism will interact with another living organism. Living organisms have a cycle of life. Living organisms have a cycle of life. All living things have certain basic needs. The most essential need of living things is water. Without this vital resource, life cannot exist. Keywords. Mitosis, a process by which cells are able to repair themselves by growing new cells. Lifespan, the length of time for which a person or animal lives or a thing functions.